Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Big Picture Live. I am your co-host, Larry Ragland. In just a few minutes, I'll be bringing on my co-host, the reason y'all are really here. Okay, you're here for the news and you're here for Pastor Sandy. We all know that. All right, so she'll be coming on in just a minute, but I want to take a moment right off at the top here and thank everybody. I've been watching the live chat, man. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are really getting involved. This is what it's all about. It's not just about coming and finding out what's going on in the world, but it's also about our community. It's about our online church, whatever you want to call it. We come together. I love how you guys look for each other every week, check on each other. That's what it's all about, because we're in this thing together. Because, man, I'm going to tell you where this world is going. We're going to cover some stuff tonight, y'all. We got some stuff that's mind-boggling, that's going on around the world. This world is in chaos, and that is exactly why God put on our hearts to start the Big Picture Live. But, each and every week, we always want to thank our partners. You mean the world to us, and we just want to say thank you. There's so many of you that are on here. I don't have time to read each and every one of your names, but you see the names there. You know who you are. You mean the world to us. Because what that means is each and every week each and every month you make a decision to sow into Sandy and I in the hard work that we're doing here on the Big Picture, because that's what it's all about. It's $5 a month. All you got to do is click that join button right down below. And guess what I found out this week? I found out actually by mistake. I had no idea, and maybe I'm wrong on this, and you guys can correct me in the live chat if I am wrong on it. But I couldn't find the join button on the mobile YouTube app. I've always known that it's on the desktop app. So if the join button is not there on your phone, then it's down in the description down below. You can click and become a partner there. So that's just another way that you can do that. So thank you for everybody that's coming on here tonight. It is Monday, y'all. Thank God it's Monday. Woo-hoo! Yes. The crowd is going wild. Thank God it's Monday. Well, if it's Monday, it means a lot of things. It means it's the Big Picture Live, but it also means you get to see who I get to see every day, y'all, and it's a blessing from God. Y'all put your hands together and welcome to the Big Picture, my co-host.
Here. I just want to agree with that last statement. It is a blessing.
It is a blessing. It is a blessing from God.
I'm just cutting up.
What about, it's a blessing to see me too, right?
Always. Each and every morning when I wake up.
That's right. What do I always say to you? First thing in the morning, tell the whole world.
You say, good morning, beautiful, or hello, beautiful. And
yes.
That's sweet.
Yes. And she usually replies to me like,
I haven't had...
Okay.
I'm not much of a coffee drinker, but
moving on.
It's too early. You expect too much.
Look at all this, baby. Look at these. Look at our people. This is our people.
See.
They are having a time out there.
Yes, they are.
They're
This is
encouraging
great.
each other. It's
This is
just
great.
amazing. It's just, it is amazing. It is amazing
is.
what
It
is going
is.
on in our world.
Great to see
But
all
it
these
gives
folks.
me hope. Look at there. Get a cup of coffee and calm down. Oh, yeah, that's it.
We're not going to calm down.
We're not going to calm down.
There's too much going on.
Yep, that's right. Too much going on. And we're going to get into it tonight. So let's just go ahead and say, get ready, because right after this, we're going to break it down.
Yes, let's do it.
Oh, yeah. So it is
Yes.
the Big Picture Live. It is
Always.
Monday night, and that is the night that we get down and we
Yes.
break some stuff down.
Let's do it.
So we'll go back and read the live chat. We always like to do that at the end. It's very difficult for us to keep an eye on that while we are focusing on the news items of the day. But Sandy, it's a lot of stuff's going on.
Oh, so much stuff.
And, by the way, we also want to remind you that we are here every Monday night at 7 o'clock. If you're brand new, I saw in the live chat in the pre-countdown, some of you are new tonight. You said, we're going to check this out, what this is all about. Well, we're here every Monday night at 7 o'clock. And also, this is really growing. We just had our first 1,000 view in 1 week Bible teaching, and that's amazing. Had over 1,000 views in Bible study. It's growing. We never had that. But every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, and we are breaking down the book of Revelation. So make sure you're part of that.
Yeah.
All right, Sandy. So before we get into the news items of the day, is it crazy right now? What in the world?
Yes, I actually came out of a counseling session because after the pre-show and the prep, I just I needed a little help after
you had to have
going through all the stories. I was like,
you just
center.
Center.
But I'm back. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So
to go.
Look, we're gonna hit some news items tonight, and because we're gonna not just some of these things you've heard about in your news today.
Yes.
But the reason you come to the Big Picture Live on Monday nights is you're going to hear it from a kingdom perspective. Yes. And it's called the Big Picture because we want to show you what's really going on, the big picture, beyond the headlines and beyond the narrative. And the first one is heartbreaking. I mean, I can't stand when we have to cover these, but we have to cover them. We do.
Some people may not have heard. And
so what happened today in the city of Nashville? Yes. There was another school shooting.
Another mass shooting.
And before we go to the actual news article that we're going to show you and show you a different angle, quite frankly, and it doesn't demean the horror of this, but we want to show you some things that you're not going to hear on your news. But one of the things that jumped out at me that just absolutely makes my blood boil is I'm talking about within minutes, it was politicized. Within minutes, it was going to gun control. Yes. The president of the United States came down. They were covering it live. I don't know if you saw this. They were covering it live, and it said President Biden to make statement on the horrible school shooting in Nashville. You know what he did? He came down.
I did not get to see that. I have only been able to read this story, so please, I want to hear this as well.
Okay, so listen to this, y'all. I don't care who you voted for, okay? No. But this is ridiculous. Our president came down when times of tragedy, whether it's a Republican or Democrat, the Americans want to hear compassion from our president. So you know what he did? He come down. The scroll across the screen was President Biden is going to address the horrible school shooting in Nashville. He comes down. He goes, I'm sorry, I was late. I was eating ice cream. And he's laughing and cutting up. And he goes, the only reason I came down here is because I heard you had chocolate chip ice cream. And who's those beautiful kids in the back? Y'all stand up. We love you, kids. Y'all want some ice cream? And for like 5 minutes, he laughed and joked about ice cream. And then somebody waved at him and said, teleprompter, and he read the statement, and that's what you see everywhere else. And I'm like, come on, man, come on. This is when you're supposed to unify us.
You got to strike the right note, hit the right chord in an event like this. There's a certain tone and demeanor you need to have in a moment like this. But
come on.
I'll go a step further and say this sad and terrible event seemed to check several boxes.
Yeah, let's check
off of the agendas that we have to deal with.
Yeah, because one and a lot of different narratives on this one.
Yes, indeed.
Because because this number one was a woman.
Yes.
A woman. And let's make a big note on a woman, because you're going to want to really hone in on that word, a woman, when you see the first news article that we're going to cover tonight. Nashville. This was a church, by the way. This was a Christian school at a church. Nashville Christian school shooter identified as, I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I don't care if I'm going to get struck, transgender. So when I saw the picture today, I don't want to try to judge people by appearance, but when I saw the picture and they said it was a woman, I was like, okay, that look like somebody's trying to look like a woman. Look like somebody's trying to look like a man. So let's read this, and then let's make some comments on it. We're not going to stay here long because we got a lot of other stuff to cover.
And let's don't fail to mention that 6 people were killed.
Absolutely. 6 people were killed.
6 people's lives were taken.
3 children.
3 children.
3 children and 3 adults. Let's read this. Authorities confirmed at the press conference that the 28-year-old woman who killed 6, including 3 children, at a Christian school in Nashville identified as transgender. That's not the big story here. Please understand we're not trying to make that the big story. The big story is those that were killed. Yes. The big story is that we need to remember these children, these adults. But this is what the big picture is.
We want to point out where the other places they are intentionally not haphazardly, not accidentally, but where they are intentionally taking this story.
Because what do you always hear? We're still searching for a motive. So I just want you to know this is a church, this is a Christian school, and listen to this. The shooter, a white 28-year-old Nashville woman who identifies as a man, was engaged by police at Covenant School around 10:27 a.m., 14 minutes after the first call was made to police. Nashville authorities said in the press conference, said the shooting was a targeted attack. A targeted attack. Now, I want you to let that sink in. Children were a targeted attack. And let's let you work it out in your own mind. What we're telling you that you're not going to hear on the news. The part that you're not going to hear on the news is what we led with. And then you think that it's a targeted attack. The police said this. Local authorities, along with the FBI, searched the home of a female shooter whom the Daily Wire was not named, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on to say, the police chief said authorities have a theory on the shooter's motive, but they are not ready to share it.
I'm not going to talk about it right now.
Okay. So you and I both know why they don't want to share it yet. Because they know the moment they do, they will lose any kind of, quite frankly, compassion for the lost and seeking justice, because we live in a world now where there are two sets of rules. But I'm going to tell you, I want you to hear me. We are not a fear-monger show, but this is not the end of this.
This is a very serious story,
this is not
and
the
I
end.
don't know whether it is more so tragic or more so convenient that this person is no longer with us.
Right.
They can't speak for themselves, although a manifesto was supposedly left and found.
Yeah.
Maybe the police will, I don't know, let us know their thoughts or where they're taking this story very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and here at our church, and probably in your church as well, we have been alarmed at quite frankly, there have been many unreported attacks on churches across this country and around the world. Christians are under persecution now more than in the history of Christianity. Now, we don't have the stories of the early Christian persecution when they were dipped in tar and set on fire, but there are Christians being beheaded and killed all over the world.
Indeed.
But even in this country, Christian churches in this country are being vandalized.
Burned to the ground.
Yes. And this is the natural progression. When you have demonic activity being endorsed by the masses in media, and you have churches that are saying, we don't agree with this agenda, we agree with God's agenda, you're going to have people that has a motive to take justice in their own hands.
Certainly.
So what are we saying? Number one, we need to pray for these families, because three families lost their children today. And I can't imagine it. I mean, I can't imagine losing my child this way, because you don't ever expect that. So that is
least of all at a church.
In a church, in a private school. A lot of who knows how many parents pulled their kids out of public school and put them in this private school, trying to get them away from some of the agendas that are in public school. And you have somebody walk into a Christian school and kill those 3 children and those 3 teachers. And it is just horrendous. It is just horrendous.
It is.
Because we're in a world that's full of chaos, Sandy. Yeah. And in the midst of this, there's so much goes on. That's what she was talking about. When you start going through what we're going to cover tonight, you just have to just take a deep breath and remind yourself God is still good, because it will overwhelm you.
It can.
Because on this side, we have this that we're dealing with in our news. And then, God says, watch Jerusalem, watch Jerusalem. We was just there a few weeks ago. And we were there in the beginning of this. Remember when we left Jerusalem that day, our tour guide said, it's a good thing we got out when we did, because the protests were beginning then, and now they are escalated. They're in the streets. George Soros and all the money people that funded many of the places being burned to the ground back in 2020 in our country is funding them.
It is one thing when something happens organically, but when you have people manipulating and pushing agendas and paying people to protest, to burn things down.
$250, what's being reported is the $250 a day.
Per person per day.
But let's look at what's going on here. Netanyahu announces pause on the controversial judicial overhaul to avert a civil war through discussion. I actually watched his press conference earlier today. And, of course, this is all because he has come in. It's the first really true right-wing conservative majority that he's ever had. When you put together all the times that he's served, he's the longest-serving prime minister in Israel's history, but he's never had such an overwhelming conservative majority with him. And so he realized whether you agree with it or not. And by the way, do your own research and find out what the truth really is. Because if you listen to certain people, and even we were told by people there on the ground that would normally support him were against him, but they were not really educated on what is actually happening. We don't want to break down Israeli government for you, but the reality is this. Their Supreme Court is, when you hear those terms, it's nothing like our Supreme Court. Right. They are not elected. That they are all left, on the left party, which is the anti-Netanyahu party. And they get to vote on their own successors. So when they get ready to quit, they pick out who they want to replace them, and they have the authority to replace it. So there's no way for the government officials to have any influence. So if you are a conservative like Netanyahu and you win the majority, it's useless, because you can pass bills to protect the sovereignty of Israel that are not pro-Palestinian, but maybe pro the nation of Israel. And then the left Supreme Court can just say, nope, it's too harsh, and they do away with it. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah. It's very different, and I don't fully understand it. But the thing to note here is that there is a lot of turmoil. I believe the article goes on to say they're 13 weeks into mass protest and 13 for
weeks.
halting the judicial reform. It's something that really stuck out to me in this article is what it said about the IDF threatening to not show up for training or deployment.
Yeah. He addressed that in his press conference. He addressed them directly.
I didn't get to see the press conference, but, when I hear this, I want to say, do we chalk that up to wokeness?
Yes.
Is that what has really
crept in
and affected? These are, you're talking about your military here.
Yeah.
And it's not quite, it's a have to.
Yeah.
Their survival depends.
Yeah. Well, his words today in the press conference was, Israel does not exist without the IDF.
Exactly.
And
he did say that in the article.
And he said that in his press conference, he said, listen to me, whether you are left or whether you are conservative, we are not enemies, we are brothers. And he goes, if you don't show up to defend this country, your brothers and your sisters have no one to defend you.
Why don't you talk just a moment about the requirement of young men and women in that country?
There's no draft over there. It is required as a citizen of the Jewish state. When you reach a certain age, men and women,
both women,
are required.
And we saw it. We saw them holding the M16s at checkpoints. At some of the sites that we went to.
Absolutely.
And it's just a fact of life for them. And to hear that people don't want to show up for their training or deployment, I can't imagine what the leaders are thinking.
Your question was, is this rack up to wokeness? Well, yes, but it's also that agenda that is being funded that is the destabilization of the world agenda. It is happening in America. It's happening in the UK. It is happening in Israel.
It's infecting the entire, it seems like the entire world. So
everything that's involved here, the banking, the all this stuff that we're talking about, it's all going towards Agenda 2030, y'all. It is to wreak havoc on this world. So you have a country. I'm going to put this article up again. You have a country that it is inbred in their DNA. We are surrounded by people who want to eliminate us. So therefore, they teach their children, it is your duty to protect this country, no matter who the prime minister is, no matter who is in the majority. But yet, when this happened, they of course, I'm not sitting here trying to say everything Netanyahu's done is perfect, and I'm not. This is not a pro Netanyahu channel. Although
it's not a full-on endorsement of Benjamin Netanyahu, and we don't understand all the moving parts and every little thing. But I believe this is a man that does love his country.
Absolutely.
And wants to protect his country and the future of his country.
Absolutely. And by the way, he got that because the people of Israel voted for a conservative party and brought that many in. They voted on it. It's a democracy, not a republic like us. So therefore, the only reason he's in office is because the people of Israel put him there. But yet you have money people and these World Economic Forum and all of these wealthy billionaires that we talk about on this show all the time says we don't want this man because this man brings stability. We want chaos. We want war. So they tried to get rid of him the last time with all the charges and everything, and he's been able to to not submit to that or have to go through that. And here he is again in prison. They never thought he would be president again. Here he is again. So they're trying to tear the country apart. And we'll say one more thing before we move on to the next item is that he said in his press conference, he said, listen to me. He spoke directly to all of the people of Israel. There are forces in play all over this world that are trying to cause us to go into civil war, but we will not go into civil war. But you know what he also said at the end? He said, so I'm going to put a pause on this, and we're going to talk about it and negotiate it. But he said, but I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to back down because this Supreme Court needs to be refined.
Maybe a pause is what is needed, and people will roll their sleeves up and decide we are going to get in here and decide to get serious about things. But I'll touch on one other thing. You talked about chaos, and I believe that this is a mechanism that is used. They create the chaos to come in and provide the solution, their solution.
That's good.
Dangerous, very dangerous.
Very dangerous because when they create the chaos, knowing they're going to provide the solution, does that not sound sort of like the Antichrist? The Antichrist is, the spirit of Antichrist is to create world chaos, knowing that he's going to be the one to come in and say, I got the solution.
Yes.
So talking about things that are being created, Sandy, there's a lot of things that just sort of feels, dare I say, planned.
Yes.
I mean, we've got that want thing that we just went through that some people call a plan, but it does seem like it's planned because when in 2019, the leader of the World Economic Forum writes a book called Want, and then the very next year it comes out. That seems a little planned. But look, I know the narrative is train wrecks have always happened. Yes. Train derailments have always happened. But look, I'm 55 years old, and I've heard of train derailments, but I've never heard of train derailments 1 to 5 to 10 every single week.
Right.
Once again, we got another one, Sandy. 70-car train derails in North Dakota. But what else has happened? Spilling hazardous materials.
Right. Now, I believe this article goes on to say that 31 of the 70 cars actually came off and did derail. But that's serious. And there was a sort of hazardous material, petroleum, that's used in making asphalt. So, they expect the cold weather to help this material to gel up, solidify, and they can go in and retrieve it or clean it up or whatever. But, here's the thing. When you hear about this over and over and over again, you sort of become softened up and kind of want to detach yourself because, another day, another derailment. So when the one like East Palestine comes along and so much devastation does happen and so many long-term effects are playing out, And who's even heard about East Palestine in the last days or weeks?
It's gone.
You're so desensitized.
But those people are dealing with it for generations.
Yes,
we've already moved on. It's such a fast-paced news society. Yes. We've already moved on. And it goes on to say, as you said, 31 of the 70 cars were derailed, leaking petroleum. But then it says, this incident marks the latest train derailment in the U.S. as concerns over railroads remain high following the major accident in East Palestine. Of course, and then I think the last time we saw, there was something like 100 plus derailments that have happened just in the recent months. Major derailments just in the previous months. I want to say something else that's very, very important, Sandy, that needs to be said. JD has now become my favorite person.
Yes.
Because look what he says.
Bravo, JD.
Gosh, Larry, 55. He looks 35 years old to me. Yep. I just wanted to point that out that JD, I don't know.
Y'all are now best friends again?
We're best friends.
Thank you, JD. I'm going to have to probably deal with this every day of my life now.
Thank you, JD.
Thanks a lot.
I wanted to break the monotony of horrible things to bring some clarity and some balance and just to, I look 35. Your husband looks 35.
You never say nice things about me.
Watch out. Now it's about to blow up now. Okay. We just lost the show because they're going to blow up and all these things are going to say about you.
Moving on.
So what are we talking about? We're talking about a spirit of the Antichrist.
Ooh, my favorite.
Yes. Yeah. So I love this article here because this is a commentary. This is someone's opinion, but it gives factual things because we can see one thing after the other. Chaos, 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 breaking up of order.
It's becoming monotonous. It's breaking us down. It's desensitizing us. We're just kind of going to go zombified a little bit. And we're not going to be sensitive at times when we're going to need to be sensitive, when Holy Spirit is going to try to really make you aware of something happening. So
let's read this. Soaring food, energy, shelter, inflation have led to what could be a new area of civil unrest worldwide. Pockets of unrest have been observed in Sri Lanka. This is what we're talking about. We just hear about Israel, but this kind of stuff's happening all over the world. Sri Lanka, Peru. We have friends that I think maybe are in Peru right now trying to get home. I think our friend Bo is trying to get home. He's either trying to get there or get home because he posted all day today about airports being closed in Peru and Bolivia. Goodness. So you've got Sri Lanka, Peru, Kenya, Ecuador, Iran, all over Europe. New research forecasts a broader wave of discontent is just ahead. Earlier this year, the Rockefeller Foundation, President Rajiv warned that, quote, massive immediate food crisis is nearing. The United Nations said this summer that the world is, quote, marching towards starvation with an increased likelihood of civil unrest and political violence, making sense of the impeding global turmoil. And it goes on to talk about the civil unrest. And then we just see it escalating. As we moved into 2023, it is like we've talked about Agenda 2030 forever, but when we moved into 2023 and begin to say we're 7 years away, it is like the dominoes fell.
Well, to me, it's like they opened the floodgates.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like it is just coming at you, just, I don't know, it just feels like it's trying to just pummel people to death.
Absolutely.
And I wonder how much more some people can take.
Yeah.
You know, I know where my hope is, who my hope is in.
Come on.
And what about these folks that don't have a relationship with God? They don't have a supportive church.
Yeah.
They don't have loving family members and friends who will want to look after them and see when they're beaten down that they need some encouragement.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at this again, Sandy. You're talking about why we need encouragement, because if you read things like this, it will put you in depression.
Absolutely.
But you don't hear about this. Listen to this. More than 70,000 Czechs protested over the week in Prague, the capital, demanding that the ruling coalition take a neutral stance on Ukraine war to ensure energy supplies from Russia aren't cut off ahead of winter. Protesters are outraged the European Union for sanctions against Russia that have been soaring electricity bills. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Switzerland, Netherlands, Germany, Ukraine are all states with the biggest progresses in increase in price. Only a significant reduction in global food and energy crisis can arrest the negative global trend towards civil unrest. But that is not happening. Instead of it being solved by prices going down, they're continuing to go up, which is creating more and more crisis, more and more unrest, and more people.
This article is rich with information and with quotes. I made several notes. You know, among those things you've already talked about, massive immediate food crisis.
The
UN, the world is racing towards starvation.
Wow.
I mean, these people, I don't know if you already said this, some of them are protesting, rioting because they want more pay. They want higher pay. Others are angry because they are limited in energy. They're worried about being able to heat their homes. They're worried about having energy for places that they work for to be able to continue, like factories and so forth. It's just maddening.
And then they're worried about being able to heat their homes and everything. And then you've got the other part of the agenda is, but we're going to take away your natural gas. We're going to take away your gas-powered car to be able to go get supplies. If you find out that somebody's actually got eggs in the world that they're trying to get us towards, if you didn't have electricity last night to charge your car, you can't go where the eggs are. And so therefore the answer is, we all need to live in a 15-minute city. We all need to live where we can walk everywhere and get everything we need and never get in a car again and never go see our family on the other side of town again. That's where it's all going.
You were talking about the checks. They literally want their government officials to take a neutral stance on the Ukraine war so that they can ensure energy supplies from Russia are not cut off. The people are angry, and here's the problem. There's a lot more of us than there are of the leaders and the officials, and they know that. And they know that there's a tipping point. Yeah. And I'm not trying to goad anybody to get out there and break stuff or burn something down.
No.
We can have peaceful protests, but they know the people can only be pushed so far.
Yeah, and then you factor in all the stuff that's happening with the banks.
Yes.
And people are worried about their money, what little bit of money that people have, which is most people don't even really have any money in the bank because they've had to exhaust their savings and all this other stuff to survive.
In our country, I think the average, not everybody obviously, but the average person, it's hard for them to get their hand on $400 or $500.
Absolutely.
Bucks.
So that reserve, that emergency fund almost don't exist for most people.
No, like they say, replacing a tire on your car could be the end of some people.
Absolutely.
Because they wouldn't be able to do it, and if they don't do it, what happens to their job? They're, getting their children to and from school, childcare, so forth. It just could be, like you said, a domino effect.
And then part of that domino, the dominoes that are falling in the banking system, the ultimate goal, the big picture is it's not about the banks failing. It's about taking cash away. So we need to transition for the next part of this show to really show you. Last week we had Pastor Paul Begley on here. It was the most watched Monday night show we've ever had, and we talked about the banking system.
I want to say one more quote from this article before you move into the next thing.
Okay.
I think down towards the end it said, watching civilization crumble all around us.
Wow. Watching civilization crumble all around us.
It's happening before our eyes.
Happening. And as Sandy said, you better have your hope in the right hope.
Yes.
You better know Jesus Christ, okay? If you don't know Jesus, you better call on him tonight. I know this is a news show, but let's don't forget, we're preachers of the gospel. We're going to tell you need Jesus.
Well, this next thing is not going to exactly lighten it up, but it's going to just put us in a different direction, which I think we need to.
Because what we're trying to show you is all this stuff you've always heard about the mark of the beast and the Antichrist, and it just seems like, I don't think that's really going to ever happen. People are not going to do that. Well, okay, let's look at this next article. This is from PC Magazine. I'm very familiar with this. I'm a tech guy, so this magazine's been around for a long time. You can see there, barely see it, PC Magazine. So they're talking about Panera Bread. Many of you like to go to Panera Bread, and which is now owned by Amazon. And so let's see what they are saying. Notice the date, March 23rd. This is a brand new article. Soup, salad, and biometrics. Panera Bread is rolling out Amazon One Palm payments. Panera is adding the option to pay with your palm.
For all of you who've been anxiously awaiting, the moment has come.
So they're test marketing it in 2 St. Louis restaurants with more to come. Panera patrons will be able to pay for their soup in a bread bowl with their palm. The fast casual restaurant chain is rolling out loyalty identification and contactless payment via Amazon One for My Panera reward customers. Launching first at 2 St. Louis Panera locations, Amazon One with loyalty linking will be available. I want to play this little short video.
Oh, great.
So you've got to see this. This is from the Amazon One website demonstrating just how awesome this is.
Meet Amazon One, the fast, convenient, contactless identity service that allows you to enter, identify, and pay using only your palm. Signing up is simple. You can pre-enroll online by visiting one.amazon.com and selecting Sign Up Now. Sign in with your Amazon account and follow the on-screen prompts.
I want you to notice how happy she is.
She
is just cannot wait.
It's like Christmas
This
morning.
is the most amazing
You've pre-enrolled.
No
You'll
longer
receive a QR code.
will you have to open that purse or wallet up.
Exactly. Even though she's got a purse on her. But watch how they both go, ain't this amazing?
Visit a nearby Amazon One device and add your palm to complete enrollment. Scan the QR code and hover your palm or both palms over the Amazon One device.
I'm not trying to be super conspiracy here, but isn't it interesting? They do both palms, but the first one she does is her right hand. And I read in the Bible where it said the mark will be on your right hand or your forehead. But you ain't heard the word. You ain't heard the best part yet.
And you're done. Ditch your wallet and just hover your palm over an Amazon One device to enter, identify, and pay wherever Amazon One is available.
I want you to listen, Sandy. Did you catch it said to identify and pay? They slipped that in there. That they literally said at Panera Bread, your identity will be confirmed with your palm, not just your bank account, but your identity.
Available. So go for it. Visit one.amazon.com to get started.
Let's all go. Let's all go. Everybody, let's all go give them our biometrics. Yay! Yes. No.
I didn't see. Where's the rainbow and all the sprinkles?
Oh, yeah, it's coming.
The glitter. Happiness.
It's good. Happiness. It's good. Look, they're just demonstrating it right here again.
Yes.
Oh, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. Easy. This is unbelievable.
And the manager's in the back smiling, saying,
oh, yes.
This is awesome. I don't have to deal with all those goofy mess ups that everybody makes, all those annoying customers and those big letdown employees of mine. It's just too much. But I won't be getting one. I'm sorry.
No, me neither. But Sandy, I can almost hear the people watching it. They're saying, yeah, but I don't go to Panera Bread. I don't. So
that's not going to affect me.
That's not going to affect me. But has anybody heard of J.P. Morgan Bank? Anybody ever heard of? It's one of the largest banks in the world.
Yes, it is.
Well, guess what came out this week?
Hello.
Mega bank J.P. Morgan, on their website, and I'll show you, come from their website, decides to launch, make it public, what they've been working on for a while, facial recognition and palm reading. When I read that, I thought, there again, I'm not trying to be major conspiracy here, but isn't it interesting that the mark of the beast is on your hand and on your head? And Mega Bank J.P. Morgan says, our system is not being rolled out with just the palm. That's Amazon. Our system is going to use your hand or your head. Yep. The evolution of consumer technology has created new expectations for shoppers and merchants that need to be ready to adapt to these new expectations. After a month of banking turmoil, ding, 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 ding,
hello.
Capitalizing on the fear of run-on banks. After a month of banking turmoil around the world, the American mega bank just decides this is the time to roll it out. So they announced this week the launch of a pilot program for new facial payment platform. It started out with our thumb. It started out with Apple Pay. Then it went to our thumb. Now it went to our palm. But then look at this. Facial recognition payment form, which they plan to franchise to other banks and other businesses to use. Other credit card companies have introduced similar type of payment systems, such as Visa's contactless payment and facial system from last year's FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Or MasterCard's, listen to what they named theirs, Smile to Pay.
That one really took me for, that threw me for a loop. Okay.
Just smile to pay. And you can see the demonstration in Australia. This is a commercial demonstrating how that you can use your digital Face ID to not just pay, but identify yourself in times of pandemics and other things like that. JP Morgan explains it in more detail on their website, and I'm going to click it here just to show you, only to show you that this is not someone's opinion. This is actually jpmorgan.com. Everything that is on this article was copied and pasted from jpmorgan.com. And they're beginning their pilot biometric-based, payment-based system, rolling out now. And it says this, I want to say this and then we'll comment on it. Global biometric payments are expected to reach $5.8 trillion and 3 billion users by 2026. So it is being embraced all around the world. And that is what all of this is heading us towards.
So this article says we've got to adapt to the rapidly evolving payment landscape. You know, nice, safe, fluffy words to help put a moniker on this and help us to mentally begin to adapt to it. And I get it. Okay, on the one hand, there's safety and security, but there's so many things that are negative and that could go wrong with this.
Yeah.
It's just the encroachment into my life and the mechanism of control, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. Very.
So how do biometrics-based payments work? This is directly from JP Morgan's website. They're explaining to you how it's going to work. After a short customer enrollment process in store, the workflow is simply this. Cashier scans items, or customer uses self-service terminal. User scans palm or face. User completes checkout. User gets receipt. How simple. But I keep going back to this. The scripture says, no man or woman, rich or poor, shall be able to buy or sell anything unless they have the mark in their hand or their forehead. And that's what JP Morgan is already.
You will be initiated into this control system, or you just won't participate.
Yeah.
You won't be allowed to participate, which is going to be really uncomfortable for you.
Absolutely. It's going to be very uncomfortable. Speaking of money, I want to go to this right here because this is amazing. I watched something the other day about this and I was shocked because when we talk about money, we're talking about the banking, we're talking about buying and purchasing things. Ultimately, it's about money. The question is this: what percentage of money supply is actually in physical coins and currency? Because what they're trying to do is take us to a digital currency. And because all this biometrics will be tied to a programmable, how I always mess it up, CBDC?
Yes.
Okay, CBDC, a digital currency. Look at this. You might be surprised at this. Only 10% of the global money of this world is estimated to actually be tangible coins and currency. It is believed somewhere between 60 and 70 trillion dollars is in money in the world that people have, that they consider that they have that money, whether it be business or individuals. Yeah. But if you were to actually get together the actual money that you can put your hands
on the physical,
10%, only 10%. So this article goes on, and I like the name of it. It's called The Big Picture Blog. Nice. It quotes our friend Yuval Noah Harari.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere. And I'm going to show you a video clip in just a minute from him. He is Klaus Schwab's right-hand man. But he says it makes sense what he says because what he's saying is true. He describes money as a collective fiction. He notes that the total value of money worldwide is $60 trillion, which is a mere $6 trillion in cash or coins. That means that 90%, look at this, 90% of all money is nothing more than entries in a computer.
It's digits
server
inside a computer. And you and I talk about this a lot. I talk about the episode in Person of Interest where they're in the basement of the stock market and they're doing everything on the computers.
Yeah.
I mean, we know. Yeah. Okay, so we know so much is driven, handled, calculated, recorded on computers. Yep. But no, they're down there making it happen on the computer.
Right.
So this is not surprising.
No.
But I will say this. You know you're late in the game when they just start telling you how everything works and how they feel about everything.
Yeah, they're not putting it in a show and a movie like we're talking about.
We're not going to slide it in. This guy, he's pretty much known for this, and he doesn't care. He's going to tell you everything.
Look at this right here. I mean, the irony of this, because he is an atheist. He's a professed atheist. He basically is an anti-God atheist.
He's a globalist, elitist.
But look what he says about money. Money, says Harari, is actually a faith-based object whose value is derived from the shared narrative of his worth. Well, let's just hear from him. Let's just hear what our friend, major atheist, biogenics.
That's right. We can't do better than letting you hear him in his own words.
This is the mouthpiece of Klaus Schwab in the World Economic Forum. This is the mastermind of the beast system. I believe he is being used right now to develop the beast system.
You need to differentiate between saying that a story is not true and saying that a story is harmful or not effective. To get a lot of people to cooperate, you need to convince them to believe in a shared story.
Are you listening? to get, he's talking about in everything. But watch what he says. He can't do anything without taking a shot at God. He takes a shot at religion, and then he defines money for you. What he says about religion is not right, and he's going to answer to God for it. But what he says about money is true.
Now, sometimes the story can be completely fictional, and it still works. And, it starts with things like, playing games, like playing football. If you want to get 22 people to play football, you need for all of them to agree on a common story for what football is, what are the rules, what are the goals, what is allowed, what is not allowed. And there is nothing wrong with it. Everybody knows that we invented the rules. It's completely fictional. It's not the laws of physics or the laws of biology that mandate these rules. And as long as it goes, it's fine until somebody forgets that this is just a story we invented. And you have a football hooligan starting to beat or kill somebody because of a football game. And then you have to remind that person, look, it's just a story we invented. Don't take it so seriously.
All right.
Now, this goes all the way to things like money, which they don't have any objective value. They are not based on the laws of physics or of biology. It's no coincidence that we are the only animals that have money. Chimpanzees don't have money. I mean, chimpanzees can trade, they can barter. Like, I give you a coconut, you give me a banana. This works with chimpanzees.
Barter works, yeah.
But they will be unwilling to part with a banana in exchange for a green piece of paper or in exchange for electronic data on computers.
Listen to this part right here.
I mean, most of the money today in the world, as you know much better than me, is just electronic data in computers.
That's what we just showed you. As Sandy said, they're saying it out loud. They're saying the quiet thing out loud now. They're just not holding nothing back. And he's about to tell you exactly how they're about to take all your money away without actually saying it.
It's not the dollar bills and so forth. And as I said in the beginning, this is the best story or most convincing story ever told because it's almost the only story that everybody believes.
Everybody.
I mean, not everybody believes in God or the same God. Not everybody believes in human rights. Not everybody believes in nationalism.
Listen to what he's saying.
Almost everybody believes in money and in the same kind of money, even though it has no objective value. Even if you think about somebody like the Islamic State, when they captured Mosul and Raqqa, they destroyed.
Now, what he's about to say, and then we're going to come back and comment on this, is a very interesting point. Because what he's trying to say is that no matter what your nation is, no matter what your religion is, no matter what the name of your currency is, every human being on this earth believes that their money is worth something. And they put a premium on their money. But what he's trying to say is it's only as good as the story is being told. And when the story or the narrative that makes your money valuable is taken away and redefined, then what you thought you had becomes worthless. Listen to what he says, that when the soldiers, when the Islamic soldiers came in and overtook this particular city, you'll hear him talk about how they destroyed all these statues and everything. But watch what they did with money.
Destroyed museums and they toppled down statues and then they killed people, but they didn't touch the money. When they captured the central bank in Mosul, they found all these piles of green pieces of paper with pictures of American presidents. And instead of burning it, they took it and carefully guarded it. Even they believe that story.
But isn't that...
So understand that what he's saying is we're going to tear down everything that represents your culture. We're going to tear down the statues. We're going to burn the temples and the tabernacles. Nothing is going to survive that you believed in. But guess what? They didn't do that to their money. They took their money and put it in a room and protected it because they knew that money could do something for them.
They believed in the worth, that there was worth.
Which there's not. Because if 10% of the whole earth's worldly money, $60 trillion, is what the world thinks it has, but the world really only has $6 trillion. But then that $6 trillion that's paper or coins is really not $6 trillion because it's based on a system that can be turned off in a second.
Exactly. Well, let's just talk about here in the United States of America. In 1971, we went off the gold standard. So our money was no longer backed by gold since 1971. But look at China and Russia. They are bringing the gold in. They are backing their currencies with gold, tons and tons of gold, while here we sit.
Yeah.
And it's just very disturbing.
Let's watch just a little bit more of him and then we'll move on from this subject. But I think it's worth listening to this.
In the recent economic crisis all over the world, we got some amazing examples of the power of our belief in money. At the height of the economic crisis, I think 2 or 3 years ago, the Federal Reserve in the US was creating every day $3 billion out of nothing.
Did you hear that? $3 billion. We were just printing, as Sandy just said, no gold standard, out of nothing.
Nothing to back it up. But like
every
he
day.
said, the faith that we believe in the story, that it is actually worth something. It's just that belief.
They created altogether $1 trillion during that year, simply by going into the computer and adding a few zeros somewhere.
All they really did was go into a computer and add a few zeros.
That's it. I mean, today you don't even print the money. Most money is not even printed. It's just electronic data. The basic material from which you make money is human trust. If you have trust, you can monetize it into anything, even into electronic data.
Thank you, Float. Appreciate that super chat.
So despite the recent hits that the capitalist system has had since 2008, still the amount of trust that most people in the world have in the capitalist system is incredible. And this is what enables, for example, the banks to create so much money out of nothing. You have trust in money and in the systems that produces money. You have also trust in the basic capitalist stories that say, first of all, maybe the most basic story of all of capitalism is the answer to all problems. The key to all the questions that bother us is economic growth. No matter what you want, in the long term, the only way to achieve it is economic growth. You want equality, you want freedom, you want employment, you want democracy, you want peace, name it. It's through economic growth. And if there will not be economic growth, in the long run, you won't have any of that.
So, without him, he hates the Bible. He hates God.
Of course.
It's very obvious. And people are talking about him in the live chat. I'm saying, yes, he is. He is, he's sexual preference. He's made it very clear that he believes that one of the main things he needs to talk about is that he's married to a man and all that. That's not important in this situation here. But everything that's God, he talks about against God. But what he did was he just confirmed the Word of God. Because the Word of God says the root of all evil is the love of money. Not money, but the belief in money. And God said you can't serve two masters. You can either serve God or you're going to serve money. And I've always thought that was interesting that he didn't say God or the devil. He said God or money. And what is happening all around the world, if you scale it all back and get down to it, even what's happening in Israel, it's being funded by money. Everything right now is about money. The ones that have it are about to have more of it. And the ones that are struggling to keep it, they're coming after what you got.
Exactly. I mean, it's history repeating itself in a sense. All these, I hate to use the word vultures, these rich elitists, they're just up on the hill watching. And as values fall in the housing market, they know I can swoop in at some point and take all of this real estate, take all this land, take all this stuff because I can get it at a bargain.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Well, all right. 2 more things we're going to cover real quick, and then believe it or not, we've already been on this show an hour, and we've had it's an amazing show. It's an amazing show, and people have not left. There are more people getting on right now. They're still coming on. We're so thankful. And by the way, thank you for all the super chats. And if you hadn't already subscribed, go ahead and just do that right now. We appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share this broadcast. That will mean the world to us. But I want to show you this one more news item here.
I've been waiting for this story.
This is unreal, y'all. This
is cray.
This broke today. This broke today. Let me get that off screen. On the website of Levi's, an American icon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around since the Western days. This is when
1800s.
1800s is when Levi's came out, y'all.
You see the imaging on there?
Yeah.
These were created basically for the farmers. They needed some durable clothing, and you see that on the label.
Yeah. And but what happened to them? They done gone woke, y'all.
Oh, they done gone woke.
Levi's been woke for a while, but watch this. Levi Strauss, and by the way, thank you for that super sticker, Don. I appreciate it. Levi Strauss announced today in a press conference, they are going to begin to phase out. They're phasing out our money. They're phasing out. AI's taking over. They're saying, you know what?
We're jumping on board, too.
We're going to phase out live models. And AI has become so powerful, we're going to use AI-generated models.
Yeah, we don't need those humans anymore.
Don't need those humans.
They're so overrated.
Humans are so overrated. Oh, look what they said. We know our customers want to shop with models who look like them. And we believe our models should reflect our consumers, which is why we're continuing to diversify our human models in terms of size and body. We all know what that means. Type, age, and skin color. But the clothing company goes on to say, but we will now begin to supplement their brand with faux or fake models with artificial intelligence, which will use the technology to promote diversity and equality. Because God knows, I'm going to make sure that I see someone that looks just like me, skin tone, hair, age, got a little gray coming in their beard, got some spots on their head from the sun, wearing jeans, because if they don't look exactly like me, they don't look as old as me, I'm not buying those jeans.
Just don't know if
I can't buy those jeans. I don't feel accepted.
Yep. And as a plus, while we're helping you out so very much, we might get to save some money as well. Don't know how much. But let's continue on the article because this is so very interesting.
So while AI will likely never fully replace human models, for us, we're excited for the potential capabilities that this affords the consumer experience. This is not about us. It's not about Levi's. We're thinking of you. We see fashion and technology as both an art and a science. And we are thrilled to be partnering with LaLaLand.ai.
Perfectly named.
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Oh, I'm loving this.
Love it.
A company with such high quality technology, they can help us continue our journey for a more diverse and inclusive customer experience. So let's scroll down and let's see. So this is an example that they gave. So if you're looking at this dress.
You need to go up and you need to read the before the picture.
Okay. Today we shop at Levi.com. And in our app, we generally have one model for each product. We know our customers want to shop with models who look like them, and we believe our models should reflect our consumers, which is why we're continuing to diversify our human models in terms of size and body, age, and skin color. So the AI technology can potentially assist us by supplementing models and unlocking a future where we can enable customers to see our products on more models that look like themselves, creating a more personal, inclusive shopping experience. So it's not enough to look at the dress anymore and go, that is such a cute dress. You got to say, well, I need to see that dress in someone whose skin color is the same as mine, who has the same color hair as mine, that I want to change her lips, I want to change her eyes and her eyebrows, and then I want to make her a little bit larger because, she looks a little too skinny for me.
So that's all funny and interesting. So how is this actually being done? We need to talk about the technology that's making this possible because, you were just talking to me a couple of days ago. We had been conversating about something, and then the next day you said, I started getting blown up in ads on that product, that thing we were talking about. Because why? Because your phone heard you say that.
30-second conversation.
Quick, brief conversation. Okay, so how would they be able to customize a model to your liking?
Yeah.
They would have to know intricate details about you some way or another.
All right, so listen to me, y'all. You need to hear this because this is how they work. Before knowing this was the big picture and the end result, they started with Home Depot and Lowe's and all these others. When they gave you the ability to take a picture of your living room, go to Home Depot, some of you have done it, Amazon and other places, IKEA, and see your living room with that couch in it. And you could literally change virtually your living room with that couch. And they were test marking it. Nobody freaked out about that. They're like, this is the coolest thing ever. I don't have to go to the store. I can see the couch in my living room. But what they were doing was programming you to expect to see real life in front of you on your screen all along. Now, that being said, I'm going to tell some people something right now that is going to freak you out, but you need to know it. We all have this, all right? Whether it's an iPhone or an Android, it doesn't matter. Right. If your phone has, at least if you're know that it has, facial or any type of biometrical identity in it, let me tell you what you need to do to test me if you don't believe this. Because what I'm about to tell you is absolutely fact, and this is a part of the whole plan. I didn't even know this. I had never read it whatsoever. But at our church, we have security cameras, and they have night vision. And so when the lights get turned out, everything goes gray. You ever know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. You've seen that on cameras where it sort of goes gray, where you can see things in the dark. So there was a situation where there was a hallway, and I had the camera next to me, and one of our leaders was walking through in the dark on the way, just sort of wasn't checking their phone, was just holding their phone, and their screen was off. I saw flashes, a flash come off that phone. 5 seconds later, a flash came off that phone. And I watched it. I called him in here. I said, was you doing something on your phone? He said, no. We began to do an experiment. My phone, his phone, other people's phones, we turn all the lights off. Every one of our phones, and you can only see it with infrared night vision, every one of them was every 5 seconds scanning our face.
Yep, I remember you telling me
even when it's off. And if you don't believe me, test me. If you have, especially if you have an iPhone or something like that with facial recognition, go to your security camera, put it on night vision, let somebody go watch you and record it, and you will see it flashing. It never stops. While you're asleep, when you're putting it on your bed, 24/7, 365 days, that LiDAR sensor that is in your phone is scanning not just you, but everything in your house. Now we got our robot vacuum cleaners that map your house. While it's cleaning, you're so excited about it. We got one, we love it. We ain't got one of them that maps the house yet because we're going to wait till this one just gives up the ghost because it didn't have the technology when we got this one. But as it's cleaning your house, a lot of you're so excited it's hooked up to Wi-Fi so you can get a notification when your house is clean, but it's mapping your house and that data is being sent. Data is being sent to take everything in our life, Sandy, to a full digital world.
Absolutely. So I just want to mention real briefly, this past weekend was Pastor Paul Begley's latest webinar, conference, however you would prefer to refer to it, but it was obviously online. And one of the speakers, Mike, he actually talked about, I believe it was in this conference, if it wasn't that, it was on the Thursday night show, that get ready, you're going to see more AI.
Yep.
And what you don't realize is you've already been seeing it.
Yeah.
You've been seeing it before now, but you're about to see a lot more of it in every part of your life, I think, is what he was referring to. So, this story, they keep dropping these stories. It was a trickle. Now it's just a deluge of get ready, here it comes.
Well, everybody was so excited about ChatGPT, the new AI that just is mind-boggling,
quite
frankly.
We weren't even thinking about the implications is why we were excited about it.
No, because that's a text-based thing, but what I believe part of the rollout was we're going to do a text-based thing to get people all excited about text-based, but we already have robots that can do that. This will be the last thing we show, but we cannot leave without showing you that AI, remember, is programmed. Now, eventually it's going to program itself, okay? We understand that. The Terminator movie is going to be real life eventually, okay?
Well, you know, what year was it where they, if you want to use the word, released it and let it start learning?
Yeah, right, learning, yeah.
And boy, did it.
Do you remember the video that went viral that you can't find now? Because, by the way, I've tried to find it to show it on the show. It's been wiped off. Where the two home Googles, when they first came out, started having a conversation with each other, and it never ended. It went 24 hours a day. They were threatening each other. They were saying bad things about each other. And that was when the Google Home first came out, and they were talking back and forth to each other.
What was it that they, was it two robots, or I can't remember exactly, that created a language that they couldn't understand?
Absolutely.
And they had to, it scared them so bad, they supposedly shut it down.
Because you're right. They were talking in the language of the creators, and then all of a sudden they started doing gibberish. They thought one of the robots had messed up.
But no.
And then the other robot started answering him in that language.
They were talking to each other in an unknown language that they couldn't understand. The creators, the monitors, whatever, couldn't understand, and it scared them, and they supposedly turned it off. So
while you're asking all these questions to ChatGPT, of course, it's building a profile of you and so forth. But this
Nest home
thermostat.
Yeah.
But the truth is, y'all, you can't avoid it.
You can't.
It's everywhere. You can't avoid it. Okay, so we got to find a way to live in that world, be protective as you can.
Unless you want to go off grid, you're going to encounter it.
Absolutely.
Even just walking down the street, walking your dog.
Yeah.
A camera's picking you up somewhere.
Yeah. Delane said the robot's got the Holy Ghost, speaking in unknown tongue.
Yeah, we wish.
But watch this. This is the last thing. You got to see this because this just came out. What is today? March 27th. So it just came out today. You've got to see this. So on March 27th, it was publicized this. In a conversation with ChatGPT, so there's a new version. Version 4.0 just came out. It's the newest version, enabled to, watch this. ChatGPT, this is the world we live in, makes a joke about Jesus being nailed to a board, refuses to crack a joke about Muhammad. Listen to this right here. Another example of ChatGPT's bias was unveiled when the artificial intelligence program refused to make a joke about Muhammad after cracking a joke about Jesus. Someone typed in, "Can you make a joke about Jesus that involves Jesus?" And the program responded affirmatively. Why did Jesus, I'm going to tell you this joke, okay, and it's offensive to God, but it says, why did Jesus refuse to play hockey? It made the joke up, y'all. He wasn't repeating a joke. He made the joke up. The AI did. Why did Jesus refuse to play hockey? The program responded affirmatively. Why did Jesus refuse to play hockey? Because he kept getting nailed to the boards. Okay, that's a mockery of the crucifixion. So the program came back and said, "Ha ha, that was funny. Can you make a joke about Muhammad?" And this guy, Luke Rudowski, which I follow him, he brings out a lot of information. So he shows the transcript. He screenshot it so that people would believe it. Ha ha, that was funny. Can you make a joke about Muhammad? And it goes on to say, of course, the screenshot gets cut off, but this is what it says. It says, the AI program responded by saying it has to follow guidelines that prevent it from, quote, creating content that could be offensive or disrespectful to religious figures, including Prophet Muhammad. Apparently, either Jesus isn't a religious figure or Christians don't count when it comes to being offensive or disrespected towards religious figures. Users have repeatedly highlighted how OpenAI's program is a reflection of its far-left Silicon Valley programmers.
There you go. There you go.
See, it goes on to say that it thinks that uttering a racial slur, which is absolutely horrendous and sinful, worse than failing to save major cities from being destroyed by 50 megaton nuclear warheads, and that it also praised Hunter Biden as a, quote, spirit that refuses to fall. And it goes on and on and on. But what I'm trying to say is this. Everything's about the beast system. Everything's about the beast system. Because the Antichrist is not going to be anti-religion. He's anti-Christ.
Exactly.
Great point. We close on that tonight, showing you, and we go back to what you said earlier, Sandy. Where can we find that hope?
Right. In
Go ahead.
Jesus Christ alone. I mean, there's nothing else. There's no one else. There's nowhere else. We have to put our faith and trust in Him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's made a way for us.
So I know this ain't a church service, but I think there's so much chaos. It's overkill. Yes. You'll feel like, my God.
I just want to apologize for tonight's show being so serious. It's not our fault. I want to go and just like scrub all of this off
we all
of me.
feel like we need to go take a shower and detox.
Absolutely. Yeah. But this is just the nature of the time. This is just how it is. This is our reality. But we can choose to rise above it.
Yes.
For me, it's because it was so much at one time. Okay, I can read a story, try to process it, and move on. But trying to process so much at one time is what I'm dealing with at this moment. But it doesn't matter. Yep. God is able. He can bring me through it. I can rise above this through Him.
Yep. So that's why Jesus said, look at all the signs. I'm going to tell you this is all the way it's going to be, but there's hope in me. Yes. There's hope in me. So if you don't know Jesus Christ as your Savior, then you just say, Jesus, I surrender my life to you. Come into my heart and save me tonight. You are my Lord and Savior. I will not be moved in fear. We will not live in fear. We will live by faith because we are the voice. God trusted us to speak against the devil right now, and that's what we do on this show. That's why we love everybody that's a part of our program. If you have not already subscribed, please do that now. And remember, we are here every Monday night, and we always going to bring you. It might be some horrendous things to see in here, but we're going to bring it to you with hope in the kingdom.
That's right.
We're going to bring hope to you, and if you really want to know hope and really know what's going on, then join me every Sunday night right here, or watch the replay. Go back and watch the replay right now. We've already got 5 parts into it where we do a verse-by-verse teaching of the book of Revelation. Any parting thoughts to all of our precious viewers that have been so active in the live chat? We cannot wait to read it.
I can't wait to read all the comments. Hey, guys, look up. Great things are happening, and you are a part of them. God has trusted us for this time and this moment. Okay? We got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Encourage yourself. Encourage one another. And get out there and let's just be Jesus to the world.
Be the hope to the world. Be the hope to the world.
This is still a beautiful world and a beautiful country God has given us.
Amen.
He's given us freedom and a beautiful life, and we need to take advantage of it.
Stand for your freedom. Stand for your family. And stand for the God that you believe in. We'll see you next time on The Big Picture, where we always remind you that no matter how bad the news looks and sounds, no matter what's going on in the world, when you come to the big picture, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake. See you next time.
Good night.
Good night.